Hi everyone, welcome to Draftscapes. I'm Chris Tuccio. In this episode, we're going to look at even more ways to draw ornamental shade trees for our landscape design plans. Stick around. Hi everyone. So as we know, ornamental shade trees are an invaluable and essential part of a landscape design plan. If you haven't already, make sure that you look at part 1 where I go over the basic symbols for drawing these types of trees. I'll make sure to link it in the description below. For today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on additional ways to drawing these same types of trees, and I'm going to look over more advanced techniques as well. So gather your drafting equipment, let's throw it up in the air, and let's get started. Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to continue on with drawing the ornamental shade tree with 5 different varieties. I have a few pieces of equipment, again, that I'm using. Circle template, my lead holder, my Copic pen set, drafting pen multi-liner set, and then I'm also using a drafting triangle, which we'll be using periodically. And obviously I'm on my drafting board. Again, I'll link up all of the materials in the description as I usually do. So we're going to start out by drawing 5 trees, guidelines, 5 circles. I'm going to be using a 3-inch circle template, 3-inch diameter circle. You can feel free to use anything that feels comfortable. I'm using the largest so it shows up pretty nice on screen, but for most people you might think that the 2-inch would be better for you. So again, I'm also drawing my guides a little darker than I normally would. Once again, just to try and make sure that they are able to show up on the camera. So just 5 lines, 5 circles. Very quickly. And I'm just fitting it. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we're actually going to work right to left here. And the first one that we're going to do is a double bordered tree. Okay, I like this variety because it's a little different. It kind of stands out, but it's still somewhat simple. So we're going to start out with our 0.5 millimeter drafting pen, and we're going to make just an outside border. So I'm going to follow the guideline. I don't need my circle template anymore. I'm just going to follow the actual circle guide for a little bit of time, and then I'm going to just simply make a U like so. And then I'm going to continue and do the same thing, and then a little loop, a little reverse loop, a little U into the tree. Same thing. And it doesn't have to be a specific dimension that you go until you form a U. Typically what I do is I kind of count 1, 2, 3, stop, and then U. 1, 2, 3, stop, and then U. And then you work your way around all the way until you get back to the other side. Okay, then you're actually going to repeat that exact same thing, but you're going to offset that from the first line just a little bit. So you're going to come around 1, 2, 3, then loop. 1, 2, 3, then loop. 1, 2, 3, then loop. You keep working until you go all the way around. Okay, so now here I'm going to stop and I'm going to move and get my larger dimension pen. This is a BM value, so it has a brush to it, so it makes a much nicer, wider line. And so I'm going to actually go back over my initial line to make it a much thicker line. You can see how much thicker that is. and I'm just tracing exactly what I did. Now the reason I don't automatically just start with this pen is because you have a little less control with it because it's such a wide line weight that I like the precision of the 0.5 to lay my guide, and then I simply come right back over it with the BM. Okay, so then I'm done with that. I'm going to go back to my 0.5. I'm going to put just a little dot in the center of my circle, and then I'm going to add some branching. So I'm just going to wait for that to kind of dry a little. I'm going to lay my triangle down. I'm just going to make some branches. And you don't have to do this part, you know, it's completely optional. I think it makes it look a lot nicer graphically, but obviously it's not a very realistic tree. And there you have it. Okay, and this is our double bordered. I'm going to write it up top here. Double bordered. Okay, so that's one. And now we're going to move on, and we're going to do something very similar to this, but it's going to be a little more of these loops and provide a little different variation. So I'm going to go on to now my 1.0. So I want a little thicker line weight. I'm not going to be messing around with multiple line weights in the same one. And so I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to start, and I call this my Cookie Monster tree because I want nice large loops out of it. Okay? And so as if someone's biting off a big chunk. Okay? And so it doesn't have to just be one loop. I can do multiple loops, like so. And then go in a little. Maybe I do a small loop there. Come in a little more. Maybe I do one large, one small. And again, maybe I'll do another small. And I'll go another large, another small. Okay, and then once again, I'm going to dot the center. And I'm going to come in with my triangle again. I'm just going to make a couple lines for branches. Okay. There we go. I'll just do maybe a couple more. Okay, and just one more here. Okay, and there you go. And so, pretty simple tree. You can also come back on top of this if you wanted to, and to do an actual double border. There's nothing stopping you from doing a double border here. But we're just going to leave it plain for right now. And this is our little Cookie Monster tree. Okay. And so the next one is much different than the other two. It's going to actually be more of a modern look, more orthogonal. And so basically I'm just going to automatically grab my triangle. I'm going to make kind of like a stop sign out of it. I'm just going to do a few sharp lines around the edge and just connect them. So I'm just going to lay my triangle down. And this triangle is specifically, I have it specifically for the purpose of using it for drafting with pen. So it's not my adjustable triangle, it's just an inking triangle. And I'm just going to come around the edge here. And just do some solid lines. All right. Okay. Now this is a much different type of look than most people are used to for a tree. It does have its time and place. Some people really like it, some don't. I'm on the fence. It really depends on the overall look of the plan. If you have much of a more modernistic look with lots of orthogonals, it can look really cool. But some people don't really like it because it's just a little too boxy for a tree, and I understand that point. And again, once again, with all these, we're just going to add a couple lines for branches. Maybe I do a couple more over here. Okay. Maybe just one long one here this way. Like that. Okay. And this is sort of my modern tree. That's what I term it. Okay, so we have 3 down, a few more to go. This next one is actually going to be much more detailed. So we're actually going to put the 1.0 down for a second, and I'm going to pick up the 0.5 again. And so for this one, what we're looking to do is actually do a series of zigzags. If you remember from the first video, we did these contour trees, where around the edge we just did these little zigzags in and out. It's the same exact concept, but we're not going to keep them connected. We're going to do little zigzags like this, like you see there. Okay, we're going to do them kind of in little segments. We're not going to do them, and we're not going to connect them all. Okay, and we're going to work our way completely around the tree, like so. Some can be longer, some can be shorter. Some might be more into the canopy, some might be more on the outside, and we're going to do the entire tree. So nothing really connects. It's just a series of little zigzags. Now, once I have the outline, I'm going to actually come back in. I'm going to put my 0.5 down for a second. I'm going to come back in with my 1.0, which is a thicker line weight, and I'm just going to go over the top with different zigzags. They're not all going to be the same. I'm not overlapping what I already did. I'm actually just coming over the top, so it's going to crisscross a little. The varying line weights of the two will make a nice little textured canopy. Like so. And then I could actually still come back over the top with my brushed marker or pen, and I can make really thick lines over the top in some areas, just to add even more line weight around the edges. So it really creates a very realistic type of look. Again, I try and tell students that this is more of like the crumpled paper tree, where it looks like kind of like a crumpled piece of paper that you we're going to throw away in the trash. Okay, so that's kind of a nice tree that we have. And you can do the same kind of thing with dots. So let's say I didn't actually want to do this with zigzags. I just wanted to do it with stippling. I could do the exact same thing with stippling that I did with these zigzags. And notice again, I have a little more detail and zigzags on
the bottom edge, because again, the light I'm indicating is coming from sort of this direction, so it illuminates the top. We get a good heavy shadow on the bottom, and then just a light one over the top. And again, you can keep playing around with this to get the look that you want, but the overall idea is thick lines and thin lines, but just a number of different zigzags. So that's why I like to call this my zigzag tree. Okay, and then finally, we're going to wrap up with kind of a callback to the first lesson. And I'll make sure to link the first lesson in the description below. But we're going to start with sort of this open canopy, three-sectioned canopy tree. So we're going to have one large section with sort of this contoured style, like so. And then we're going to have a medium section. Comes in. Like so, and then we're going to have a third section that's smaller. So it just rounds out the circle. And then we have a dot in the center, and we have these branches coming out like so. Okay, but now what we're going to do is we're actually going to come back over the top and we're going to make little sections here. Little cutouts, which we didn't do before. Okay, so it's a little added detail that we didn't have originally with the first open canopy tree. So it adds a little more detail here, which I kind of like. And then with these, each one gets one, and then with these we're going to actually add more branching in the interior of this. So just like so. And here we go. Like that. And then we're going to come over the top and we're going to stipple. I'm going to make some nice gradients of shadow. And the thing with stippling is you want to make sure that you're holding the pen or pencil 90 degrees at all times, and that you're not making little hatch marks. You don't want to make actual lines. You're just making little dots. Okay. Add a little more until you're happy with it. And then I'm just going to put sort of open canopy 2. So there you have it. We have 5 more different types of trees that you have the ability to draft with that show off ornamental shade varieties. You know, again, just like with the first video, you want to make sure that you're practicing all of these. You never know when you might want to use one over the other. So, you know, take your time, practice them maybe 4, 5, up to 10 times a piece, and in no time you're going to be drawing them pretty quickly with really great quality that's unique to your design style. So thanks for stopping by. Make sure if you like the content to subscribe below, hit the like button, and I'll see you at the next video.